Okay then, and hello everyone. So just want to start with sort of basically talking through my background. So the journey that I've been on, where I've come from within the industry, what we're doing now, just to give you a bit of context as to sort of why I'm now into what I'm doing, and then helping other coaches hopefully follow the same journey that I've been on. So this is my story. So this is how I went from personal training for £7.50 an hour and sort of running a boot camp with zero clients. Like genuinely, I stood in the field with absolutely no clients turning up. It was awful. To a place now where sort of I own 3 gyms. We've got 10 members of staff. We've actually got another one coming on board, so that'll make 11, and about 500 clients across the 3 gyms. And in the single worst economy in history throughout COVID, throughout the double dip recessions and everything we've had, and in terms of percentages, I think we've been in a recession for nearly 50% of the entire time that I've been running this business. So I want to talk you through the exact sort of journey that I went on, and helping you hopefully give you some insight into how to improve and on your own journeys as well. So difference between those that succeed and those who want to quit is the ability to endure short-term discomfort the longest. So a lot of what you're going to see now is basically me going from hell to hell with, there's been ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but there's been so much that we've had to go through. And every time I get to it, I always thought to myself, like, it would be reasonable for me to quit. Like, if I gave up now because of this, like, nobody's going to be, oh, well, he didn't really give that a proper go. And those who typically succeed, the more stories you hear, the more entrepreneurs you studied, at a very high level, they all go through this sort of stuff. So it is genuinely just about enduring, these short-term discomforts, and then being able to go from that one to the next one to the next one, without sort of loss of determination, should we go with. So let's rewind the clock. Okay, so how I first got into the industry, I just finished traveling. I was out in Australia for about 18 months, and I was faced with that now what, time to grow up sort of scenario. I finished traveling, and I was like, okay, well, I've got to do something. So when I got my old office job back, which was just a credit control job, while I did my personal training qualifications, because it's what I enjoyed, I'd gotten fit myself, and I just wanted to help people. Those are 2 things. I wanted to help people. I wanted to do something I enjoy. Probably fairly similar to the reason a lot of you got into the industry. Throughout all of that, got qualified, just got qualified, and then I found out that my department was making voluntary redundancies, or making redundancies. So at which point I stuck my hand up and said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be leaving soon anyway, going down this path. Rather than someone else lose the job, I'll take the voluntary redundancy. Didn't get any pay for it because I haven't been there very long, but it was a case of, I might as well step down, and apply for a job at Nuffield. So they were hiring for a personal trainer. So I had no experience, absolutely none at this point. I got through to the last 2. I was actually quite optimistic about it, and turns out I didn't get it. The person who beat me to it had 3 years experience, and you know what? Fair enough. I was completely new to the industry, so there I was, no job, and I didn't get the job that I was going for. So I was kind of forced, if you like, to go self-employed in this industry, and that is sort of where things started for me. And this was me, just lost at sea. This is kind of the how I actually remember this feeling is genuinely lost at sea. That's where I found this image from. I thought I sort of described it quite nicely. But yeah, absolutely no clue whatsoever to what I was doing. So I was doing bits of research, and you see what others are doing, and they do like these Facebook competitions. You go giving away 3 months personal training, like and share this to enter. So through all of that, I got quite a few sort of different bits of contact. Obviously gave away the month of personal training. It was twice a week, in-home personal training. So I was traveling back and forth to the house because I had nowhere to train out of. And I then messaged every other person who entered and said, would you like half price personal training? Now, I was doing it for £15 an hour before the half price. So I was now doing this for £7.50 an hour for everybody that took me off on that offer. And again, it was in person. So between me having to buy equipment to do this and then driving from person to person, I am fairly certain I lost money sort of doing this in the first instance. And to me, I was like, it's just something I need to do. It's something I need to do to get my name out there. It's fine. But yeah, and I then partnered with a local guy who was running outdoor boot camps. He had 3 outdoor boot camps at the time. They were all running fairly successfully. And he wanted to open one up in Harrogate, which is where I'm based. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This sounds good. He clearly knows what he's doing. I'll go with that. Absolutely failed miserably. What I failed to really think about or understand at the time was he had built these businesses a long time ago, sort of before internet marketing, and things just moved on a little bit. And the way of he was doing it was through like brochures and flyers and door knocking, and it just didn't have the same traction. as when he first tried it. So we were genuinely getting 1 or 2 maximum coming down to sessions, and that eventually fizzled out. And the one that always sticks out to my head, so my then girlfriend, my now wife, was doing the Three Peaks. So I drove her out to the Three Peaks, and she was going off for a 12-hour walk, and then had to drive back to come and do a boot camp to then go back out and pick her up. So I'd driven an hour and a half out, hour and a half back for nobody to turn up, to then drive another hour and a half out. And it was at that point I was like, my God, this is insane. Like, the whole cliche, there must be a better way sort of thing popped into my head. And that is sort of where I got to. So following on from sort of that, things really took a downturn, if you like, from there. So me trying to do all these bits and pieces, still trying to live, I was having to eat and everything. I'd run myself into about 10 grand's worth of debt, ended up having to sell my car. And then I took a temp job back in credit control, but a different company. And I was getting a couple of clients in there. I was actually working at a local squash court and renting their place per hour and that sort of stuff. But really struggling to balance the two. So I had this job that I had obviously committed to, but also the passion was trying to go was my personal training stuff. So that was where I found myself. And really what I was doing is, well, I should have been working for them in the office hours. I was texting clients, I was messaging people, I was following up on leads, and also I wasn't a very good employee because I was trying to get this off the ground. So within the space of 24 hours, the gym that I was sort of partly renting, and I then just started working out of there. It was like a little martial arts place, and they had a personal training studio. Out of the blue, one day I walked and they went, "Yeah, we're out of business. We're shutting down. You know, as of today, can't use the place." Is that wonderful? Okay, so I've got nowhere to work with the few clients that I now do have, and I was then taken aside and threatened with being fired at my job, which again, fairly rightfully so, because I wasn't doing my job. And I was there like, oh my God, I'm currently going to be out of both income streams here. And I just remember that the sinking feeling I had at that point was just horrific. So that was rock bottom, I think, for me. Then I know it seems a bit sort of one of those magical things, but the day that changed everything. So the PT 100K Club, a little bit of background, actually started with Ricky Knight, who you will see sort of throughout some of the videos and in the group. He owns the franchise of Fitter Body Ladies, which I think at this time recording is 15, 16 locations. And he started this way back in 2015. Now, I first entered into this, I first discovered all of this as in where you are. I came through as a lowly PT. We didn't understand anything of the business. I didn't know what I was doing. And I saw this pop up and I was like, you know what? Almost like a Hail Mary, let's go for it. This sounds good. This sounds like it's something that can help me. And that is effectively where my journey started. That is where the uptick started. So in a very much similar way to we're going through all this with you, there was videos there for me to go and learn the basics of everything. And I just spent time. I literally just learned everything, consumed absolutely everything there was to learn, asked so many questions, some of them which were really stupid, but I wanted to just learn everything and absorb it. And that is how I then sort of started my group training business. And then 8 months later, this is actually a post I found in the PT 100K Club group from back in when I was doing this. You can see the date there, 2017. There, today's the big day. 8 months ago, I joined here after running myself into debt and everything that I've just told you. And I was actually able to quit that job, which was an unbelievable feeling because for a long time I was working early mornings and then going off to this job. And then in evenings, I was doing follow-up calls, sales calls. So I was working like, crazy sort of 15, 16, 17-hour days sometimes. So this, to be able to quit that job was absolutely beyond anything else. So this was sort of a big win for me. Then sort of from there, things started to grow. So from that, I managed to open up my own unit. We expanded. So we started with men's only training. And then from there, we expanded that into opening women's training as well. So we have men's and the women's, which we still do together at that gym. Started taking staff on board, putting brackets, they're not always great. As part of the stuff we will come on to is learning how to hire staff properly, what to look for. But I've made a lot of mistakes on that front. The gym was growing nicely. We were managing to travel quite a lot. One of the passions that me and my wife have is travel, something we've always liked to do. Not anywhere super fancy, but we do these little trips here and there. But the ability to do that with the gym and the balance and everything still running was wonderful. It was profitable. I had a really good work-life balance because of the hours that I could pick and choose. I wasn't in the gym as much. Like I said, we had the staff doing that. From there, got married very recently. Wife quit her job, so she was pregnant with our first child. So I said, look, why not quit your job? I'm in a position to be able to support both of us now with what we're doing. Everything was going really well. Okay. And then COVID. Wonderful. So we're all aware of the effects that COVID had on all businesses, but in the gym business, it was a really, really tough time. So I mean, I think we changed business model 8 times over the course of COVID between opening up, shutting down, opening up, shutting down. We did online training again, which a lot of people did, which, let's be honest, wasn't great, but it was enough to see us through. We would open, and then we would open up. We would have record months. So at the time, in 2020, we had our 3 best months ever in the months that we opened up, and then we would shut down and we would lose half our clients, and then the whole process would restart. So we all know the impact that it had, but we did manage to survive. And not only that, we managed to actually sort of come out of it and push on to expansion. So we used the bounce back loan to expand. So obviously there's a little bit of money left over from there, and we're like, well, it's a very low interest loan. We're not really going to get money this cheap again at any point. Usually after recessions, you have sort of booms and things recover quite nice. I was like, now is the time to expand. And then so it got to point out, like, I was just in charge of the management of side of things, of the sales and overseeing operations. So again, not a huge amount of workload for me. As I've got the time, the dedication to open up more gyms. So did that. Gyms all growing nicely. We had our first ever 50 grand month. So across all 3 gyms, turning over 50 grand was one of those sort of big sort of milestones. It was all going really well. All 3 gyms were pretty much running themselves. I was just overseeing everything. And then it's what we call the triple threat. So obviously we've had the cost of living crisis thing has kicked in from the war in Ukraine, which has had an impact. One of our gym managers ended up being attacked on a gym social, out on a night out. Got attacked in a taxi rank and was left, and is still left with brain damage. So very, very key member of staff. He ran everything. He was the face of the gym. All of our clients absolutely loved him, and just overnight, I just got a phone call. It's like, yeah, like he's in hospital and he's going to be a long time before he recovers. So we had that to overcome and deal with. And then just a few months later, we ended up actually having to fire one of our other gym managers for insubordination. That's a bit of an understatement. But we had a lot of back and forth. So within the space of a few months, all of this happened. 3 gyms running, and 2 of them just very much now becoming a lot more sort of responsible for from there. So that was not ideal from there. But we still grow. So even through all this, we've still managed to keep continuing and growing our gym. So this is again a lot of part of what I'm going to be going over about is how to build out these systems, is about how to build the resilience to go through all of this. And if you do all this properly, then even when these bad things happen, it's not catastrophic. It doesn't absolutely destroy your business. So we're going to talk about the systems that we actually reinforce through all of this to actually make everything we do even better. We hired new members of staff in a better way. So we have a better system now in place in terms of bringing staff on board, so they're more bought in and they've hit the ground running and doing really well. And every single month, the gyms, all 3 gyms, are still growing month on month on month. And for us, we have got the plans to open gyms 4 and 5 over the next few years, with the aim of having those businesses as a 7-figure sort of income, if you like, or turnover for all those by the year 2025. So over the next few years, that is our aim from there. So, like I said, been a lot of ups and downs over the course. What I'm hoping you take away from there is wherever you are at in your journey, is hopefully gives you something to sort of look towards. My goal now is to help you overcome some of the pitfalls that I've fallen into, because I haven't been perfect through all of this, but to go step by step through absolutely everything that you are going to need to go into how we've built the systems, how we operate. So whether you're at the very start, we'll talk about how to start and open up your first gym, or even sublet somewhere to begin with and open that up. Then how you expand into a couple of gyms, 2 or 3, and I'll talk you through about sort of how we then expand beyond that as well, and hopefully help and facilitate as we go from there. Any questions on any of this, you can either message me directly or put it in the Facebook group. Hopefully some of you have found that useful.